Well, this week, Foxtel revealed more details about its London Olympic Games coverage. James has all the details. James, just take us through about the multi-channel offering that we're going to get.
Yeah, look, they're showing a lot of the Olympics on Foxtel. I think 1,100 hours live, something like 3,200 hours in total. So they're going to need a lot of channels to do that. I think we mentioned before, it's going to be 8 channel standard definition, and if you're take the Foxtel high definition package, you'll be able to watch all that in HD. Probably the most watched channels are going to be Channel 1, which will be the swimming. Expect that to get a lot of traffic. Then maybe Channel 4, the athletics. That's the track athletics. There's going to be a separate channel for the field athletics, and then the other sports are sort of allocated across those 8 channels.
And who are going to be the hosts and the announcers?
Eddie Maguire, you're going to see a lot of Eddie Maguire for those 17 days out of London, working primarily for Foxtel, but I think he's doing the opening and closing ceremonies for Nine. Of course, Eddie's contract these days is split between Nine and Foxtel, so they both want a piece of him. He'll be working with Matt Shervington. Other announcers you'll see across the day are Tracy Holmes and Brendan Julian will be teaming up to take some of the time slot as anchors, and Lisa Forrest, James Bracey. Interesting ones working as sort of reporters for Foxtel over there will be Rove McManus, who I think is also doing some of his Tonight shows, and Alan Jones will also be turning up. That's Alan Jones from 2GB in Sydney. He'll be doing like a daily editorial on sort of the biggest stories. And
what about the digital media rights? What will be available on those? Foxtel obviously also has those.
Yeah, they've developed, well, it's not out yet, but they were developing an Olympic Games tablet app, if you like, and definitely be for the iPad, presumably for Android too, although there's not a lot of Android tablets out in the market. So you'll be able to sit there and watch those channels on the tablet. No extra charge if you're a subscriber to Foxtel for that.
And how does Foxtel benefit when it's giving away these channels essentially for free, if you already have a subscription, obviously?
Yeah, well, it's a pretty good question, isn't it? Because there's, if you're a Foxtel subscriber with the sports package, no extra charges there. They're not going to be running ads during the live events, so no revenue there. They're really using this as a carrot to sort of drive subscriptions, get that penetration number up. It's an expensive way to do it, so it's a very long-term strategy. They certainly won't recoup the, $100 million or so Olympics rights, the monies that's been paid out for Australia. They won't be recouping that anytime soon.
You mentioned there obviously it's going to be minimal advertising then, so are there many opportunities for advertisers during the coverage?
Yeah, I think so. MCN are looking after that, so no ads during live events. That still leaves about over 2,000 hours of other events where they will be able to run ads. So you'd be some pretty interesting packages on the table there for advertising.
And how will Nine differentiate with what it's doing on free to air?
Well, it's a lot less hours for starters, 300, compared to 3,000. But they're going to curate all the best stuff, which a lot of people will like. And look, it's free. I mean, it's real free. It's not, if you're paying already, then you get it free. There'll be no charge at all. There will be an HD offering, so they'll run about, I think, 16.5 hours a day on Nine, but they'll simulcast that on Gem, so you can watch that in HD. And they'll also be doing some 3D coverage, I think. There hasn't been a lot of detail on this yet, but I'm pretty sure they'll be offering some 3D, something that Foxtel isn't doing.
And what about the radio rights for London 2012? Who has that?
Yeah, the ABC has got the biggest rights package. I think they always do a pretty big coverage, and they'll be sort of setting up a grandstand to look after that, their sort of sport brand, and there'll be a lot of extra coverage on digital radio. But 2GB has the commercial radio rights. As I said before, Alan Jones, he'll be in London. Ray Hadley will be in London. They haven't on-sold yet to anybody else, but I think they're trying to do a deal with Fairfax Radio, so it'll be 3AW, 4BC, 6PR, those stations. Nothing just done yet, so you could bet there's probably some haggling over price.
Now, I've just got to turn to the newspaper sector and the 2 biggest publishers in Australia continuing to trade barbs, all, of course, starting with the AFR's series of reports on pay TV piracy allegations against a News Corp subsidiary. James, what are they bickering over now?
Sort of ad revenue, if you like. It's been the ad market for newspapers. We've seen the figures for last year. It wasn't great. This year hasn't started off much better. you know, the Australian and in particular, and News Limited in general, likes to sort of paint Fairfax as getting out of print, moving into digital. It's not completely accurate, but gee, some of the messages that Fairfax sending out, it's easy to come to that conclusion. And they've sort of seen some figures for the first few months of this year, and they say, look, the market's down for everybody, but particularly badly for Fairfax.
Got to ask you, AFR launched a new inserted magazine, Capital, and a webpage this week. What's been the reaction so far?
It's a bit of a niche offering, this. They've got the first issue of the magazine came out this week. It's inserted on I think it's going to be Wednesday, but it's only quarterly, certainly to start with anyway. But they had some sort of good corporate support there. Some of the big banks, I think National, Westpac, Combank were in there, some of the sort of broking firms. And there's also a web offering, and it sort of traces the capital markets, private equity stuff, you know, tracks what's going on there.
Now, at News, there have been some new appointments this week.
Yeah, Melvin Mansell has been looking after the advertiser. He's sort of stepping sort of up, if you like, into a sort of a group editorial role across the papers in South Australia, I think Northern Territory and WA. Sam Weir, who's been the editor of the Sunday Times, is moving across to take on the role of editor of the advertiser. As News are going to use, I think, South Australia as a test case to sort of restructure their the way they set up their newspapers and their Sunday newspapers. And the strategy is to have a sort of 7-day rolling operation where staff work on all different editions of the papers.
And all this coming, of course, we've been hearing News Corp's Chase Carey talking about new revenue streams for newspapers. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, he's very confident that you know, the papers will be able to digitise the big audiences they're getting online as they sort of move some of those people into paying customers. You know, at the moment it's largely all free, but he thinks, look, if we, you know, once we'll chip away, we'll make some progress, and there will be a revenue stream there for us if we stick with it.
All right, just moving on to some other news, and Starcom Mediaweek was named the International Media Agency of the Year this week.
Yeah, absolutely. John Sintras was over in, I think it was Montreux in Switzerland, to accept the award. They won a number of other awards this year as well for particular campaigns they worked on. And I think this was the 3rd year in a row that they'd picked up some gongs there. So it's stuff that always looks good in the boardroom when you get people in to pitch for new business. If you can show, look, we're an award-winning agency, come and let us work for you.
And a new role for the departing Ausstar boss, John Porter.
Yeah, he's going to take on the chairmanship of Photon at a sort of crucial stage in their development. They were saddled with some pretty massive debt, which they've managed to restructure. They've also got a new CEO. So, yeah, it's an important time for the company.
OK, let's have a look at the ratings. And, James, this obviously is for week 15 for free-to-air, so the final week of that Easter break period. Sure. 7 News there at the top, and just turning the page you can see that The Big Bang Theory did well for 9 there with 2 spots in the top 10. And looking at the subscription TV ratings, these are the top 5 sport for week 15, and just turning over to the top 5 non-sport, Grand Designs Australia for lifestyle at number 1 there. James, the Logies, got to ask you about the controversy. You were there at the Logies. The gold winner's name was leaked. Just tell us what happened, and what's this going to mean then for future ceremonies?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of different versions of this story, but basically what happened, Hamish Blake's name got out. How it got out is sort of still a bit of debate over that, but there was an error. The Herald Sun put it up online unintentionally. It's not the first time it happened. It happened a couple of years ago. I think Fairfax was involved in that time. Look, it's a big story for newspapers, and the Logies want to get it out there. So everybody got pretty steamed on Sunday night when it happened. The News Limited journalists were sort of sent out of the media room as sort of punishment. What will it change? Well, gee, a few days later when everybody's calmed down a bit, probably not much, because, you know, will they go live? They probably should go live, but they won't. It's probably cost them a bit of money, and it's just a bit easy to control if it's on delay. Will they stop putting out embargoed lists? Well, no, because TV Week and 9 really want that coverage in those Monday morning newspapers, and you need to get that story out earlier to the newspapers. So I think they'll probably just tighten up again and just try and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Now, who won the most awards when you drill down into the actual awards handed out?
ABC actually did the best on the night. They had a lot of winners. You know, Adam Hill's amongst them. Four Corners won. The Slap won something. Paper Giants, so it was a good night for them. Nine did pretty well too. Nine's had a few lean years at the Logies, but they did well this year. Of course, Hamish Blake winning gold. The Gap Year won another award, so it was a pretty good night for them.
And for future Logies, Victoria has secured a multi-year deal to keep hosting it.
Yeah, I think they've got the next 5 years they've sort of secured the Logies down here. That's part of the Victorian Events Corporation. That's done a pretty good job over the years. And they've also secured the Spa Conference for 3 years. That's a bit of a smaller event, but it's over a longer period of time, 3 days. Both events get a lot of travel into the city. It sells a lot of hotel rooms, so it's a good business to have.
And Molly Meldrum made his first appearance back in the media after that fall, Christmas.
Yeah, there was a tribute paid to Molly on Sunday night. Bit of debate over whether Seven maybe didn't want him to go to the Logies because look, it was on another channel. I don't think there's much in that, but he turned up this week on 7 in 7 News and he looked pretty good, and then some of his stuttering has gone too. So he's sounding good too.
And just finally, we've also got nominations for the Astra Awards out this week.
Yeah, absolutely. The Astra Awards handed down on Thursday, June 21. The Channels of the Year, Lifestyle, Showcase, Fox Sports and Sky News all competing there. So, Lifestyle's won that a lot of times. Could they do it again? Not sure. Cloud Street's up for a lot of awards. So the Showcase Aussie drama that got a lot of great reviews. James,
great to talk to you as always. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much. That's all we've got time for from the team here. Thanks for your company.